leaders trying to balance innovation with operational consistency?
Yeah, I would guard against too much innovation too soon, too quickly. Just find little steps that you need to take. If you feel you need to evolve, do it in stages. Don't do it in one whopping. You'll confuse your consumer. You will confuse yourself. So do it slowly, do it eloquently, and make sure that you don't confuse the people working for you.
Yes.
The people coming to eat with you, or come and dine with you, or come and stay with you. And once you've found those steps and perfect them each time, make sure you do it consistently, because that is the biggest challenge for anybody, to ensure that if I come today, and I'm a simple person on a guide, I go to certain restaurants for certain things. So if I go to this restaurant today for a curry, let's say, I'm not going to look at the menu, but make sure that every time I go there, the curry is going to be exactly the same that I like, because I don't want anything else. That's what I expect. And that's the consistency from everything, from service, from welcoming to goodbyes. Make sure that you stay consistent. So one day you don't get treated like a king as a guest, and the next day you get forgotten. And you start walking around thinking, what has just happened here? Yeah. Have I done something wrong? Or are they having a bad day? There must never be that. You must, and don't set your targets too high. If you believe you can only be consistent at one level, stay there and do it brilliantly. If you believe you can get to a different level, whatever level you're in with offering people stuff, just make sure you do each of those every single time the same that you would have done it yesterday.
That's like somebody shared with me the other day, I think, is find the point where you're at the highest, where you can be consistent. You don't want to be above that and be inconsistent.
100%.
Rather find the point where you're most consistent and stay there, work it, become better, and then move up.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so great points. But so something that I'd just like to add is that I've worked with many businesses and that is that trends only matter if they either improve the guest experience or the economics of the business. Working with a lot of strong operators and leaders and how they evaluate trends. And this, I think, is a key thing. 3 simple questions. Is it sustainable? Because if it's short-lived, it's definitely not strategy. Does it fit our brand and our customers? Exactly like you were saying. Because not every trend suits our concept or our customers. And the key thing, can you execute it consistently? Because if it can't be repeated operationally, it definitely becomes a risk. Because in hospitality, consistent execution matters far more than clever ideas.
Exactly.
So Jabulani, if you were advising a hospitality business owner today, what would you say they need to get right over the next 3 years?
Yeah. Suppose I'll go back to my initial point. I think cost is definitely an issue, because I think from a revenue perspective, there's quite strong competition. Although there are some strategies that operators can certainly do to drive that. But I think managing costs is quite important. Maybe just to give a practical example. Hotels in particular are quite notorious with high wastage levels, especially on the food and beverage side. So if as part of the operations, you incentivize people like Trevor to say that, guys, granted the state of the economy, the state of demand is quite tight. We can't even push our average meal or rates by let's say inflation, let alone plus inflation. How can we still ensure that we'll remain competitive? Where can we suppose think of innovative solutions? Incentivize people like Trevor to say that if you're let's say preparing this menu, what's the percentage of waste that this menu generates per serving, and how can we optimize it to ensure that we take the waste margin and put it directly into our bottom line. Do the same thing, but just reducing our. It will certainly address issues such as cost, But I think a good example now is, at least over the last year or so, is the rapid increase in the cost of beef, let's say premium cuts like steak and the likes. So if I'm used to going to the Trevor's Hotel, ordering a steak at 250 a pop, then I go next week, it's at 350. It's the same portion, same. I mean, it's definitely hitting me in my pocket, but I mean, it's the cost there because of the foot and mouth disease, supply chain issues. It's a cost that, I mean, he has to pass on to the customer. So, I mean, cost is one thing. On the revenue side, it may be controversial for some people or establishment, but I actually think considering the tapa style idea, where we see it in all other sectors of retail, where 10 years ago you used to buy a bottle of Coke which was 340, now it's 300 ml. It's probably the same price, it's been inflated. So similarly with instead of because people no longer buy 2-course meals now, it's either, or even 3-course meal. They either take a starter and an main, or a main and a dessert. So you design the menu in such a way that they still get to taste their favorites, and maybe hold the prices, but certainly reduce portion size to ensure that, you know, they at least from an experience perspective, it's still the same, but it does not necessarily burn the pocket, because I mean, as Trevor mentioned, I mean, there's only so much that you can push the envelope in terms of pricing. And when you look at the trend, generally, even for me when I travel, the guest spend, I mean, there's pressure in terms of the average spend. If you go to dinner, the three of us, I mean, we probably have a ballpark figure to say that, you know, not willing to spend more than $500 a pop, but still want to ensure that with that $500, you still have an enjoyable experience.
There was a. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There was a very cool word you used in there. My boss is sitting in here. Can you explain that incentivization on reducing costs?
You know what? I thought he was going to take advantage of it. I knew it. I just knew it.
No, but I agree with you. It's the cost. I'm a chef, and often we don't worry about cost because we want to make people happy. But in today's world, cost is where you actually start the meal, and then you start designing yourself around those costs and try and see how do you give a proper meal or a value for money meal at a cost that the market is testing you at.
So Trevor, adding on to what Jabulani spoke about, for operators in the room, what is one or two practical moves?
I told you I won't say.
Yeah, I know. You would recommend they make in the next 12 months to strengthen their business?
I honestly believe one of the major things is to ensure that you understand your guest. And that has always been my philosophy, is understand your guest. When I was a young chef, I used to cook for myself because I'd seen all these celebrity chefs and what can you do that's so cool and trendy and creative. And then all of a sudden, a lot of those dishes stayed in the fridge and the cost becomes a problem. And once I got mature enough to understand that I don't cook for myself anymore, I cook for the guests, and they are the ones that make sure that the stock comes out the fridge and goes into our cash registers. And it sounds a little bit harsh that we don't really care about them, but we have to cover our costs and be protective of our costs. But I think more importantly, we've got to remember what our guests are looking for from us, because at the end of the day, we're cooking for them. So I think if you're in a situation where you're not sure, do some homework, do some research, get an understanding of who the people are that are coming back to you consistently, and make sure that you cater for those people. Don't get blurred by the noise. Don't get blurred by the trends and the noise that is out there that is confusing you. The more you are worried about who the people are that are coming to you, the better your revenue is going to start looking.
Just to add on that point, I think what for me is a lost art is directly engaging with your guests in a restaurant, because unlike doing, let's say, a secondary third party research, we have your patrons there, captive, engage with them constantly. I mean, it's so refreshing when you're dining, especially when the establishment is not necessarily busy. To have, let's say, a chef coming to you, engaging, finding out what was well with the meal. Because most insights are actually valuable in terms of what from a menu design or just improvement can be done in the kitchen. So engaging with your guests and also your patrons is actually something that a lot of the hospitality operators also suppose just go back to.
So I wrote something down. I normally just talk, but I wanted to say something specifically about this, and it touches on exactly what we're doing here. The future may be noisy, but hospitality businesses that stay grounded in service, adaptability, and genuine human connection will be the best position to thrive. Don't lose that human connection with your people that are coming to spend their money in your place.
So guys, I'm going to wrap it up, and let me say what I've got here.